Hey, how are
Hey,
you?
Nicolás, how
Fine,
are
thank
you?
you. Thank you for the invitation. Hi,
Yeah, good,
Janet.
Hi,
man. So,
Nicolás.
so you're in, so
Yes,
you're in
yes.
La
I
Paz
arrived
now.
here. I arrived to Bolivia 4 days ago. I went to Santa Cruz first, which is
Hmm.
another type of Bolivia that I didn't imagine at all. And then, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's
tropical and it's
tropical.
very
It's weird.
commercial.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah,
capitalist. And then I
yeah,
came to La
yeah.
Paz, which is the Bolivia I imagined myself a few years ago. And yeah, I'm gonna be here until Saturday. We're doing a
Okay,
collab
what are you
with
doing?
Payawi. It's a local restaurant, a very nice restaurant. If
Hmm.
you have the chance to
Yeah,
come here,
I haven't been,
don't
but I've
skip
heard
it.
so many
Put it
like
on the
great
first on
things
the
about
bucket
it. It
list
looks
because
wonderful.
it
Yeah,
has a lot of
yeah,
substance. It has a beautiful story, and the food is amazing. Just traditional food, but perfectly made.
yeah. It looks beautiful. I've seen the photos, and it looks like wow, this is beautiful Bolivian food, unpretentious, but just like cooked wonderfully, beautiful ingredients,
I
nice
think we don't even
plating,
have that in Chile. We don't
right?
have a restaurant that take care of all the details of traditional dishes and they present it just like they are. We're missing that in Chile. So
Yeah, yeah, like maybe in the provinces a little bit, but maybe
yeah,
not to that extent. I'm trying to think. Um, there was that place in Santiago, but I mean, it was less traditional food. It was more
Las Cabras. Yes,
like La
absolutely.
Fuente or something
Yes,
like Fuente.
yes.
Las Cabras. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it
No, but
wasn't really
you
traditional
could
food, but it
find
was like
besides
more
all
popular
the
food. So,
traditional
yeah,
sandwich culture that we have from completos
yeah,
and italianos and all that things.
yeah.
The chef there was doing some traditional dishes with focusing on all the details. When they closed it, it was a huge loss
Okay.
for the local
Yeah.
gastronomic culture.
Yeah, no, I love that place. I went
No one
a bunch of
it's
times when it was
taking the
and
risk or even interested in doing something like that again. I don't know why.
yeah, I think it'll happen. I think regional cuisine in general is starting to kind of pop everywhere. Like the capitals are all kind of maxed out with what you can do in some sense. That if you're a young cook, I think it's much more realistic to go open in the provinces of whatever part of Latin America, and you can do something great with less money and take bigger risk. I don't know, but it's like you need people to go to it. But I think it's starting to
Hopefully.
happen in a few places here and there. Yeah. How's the altitude
So
treating you?
far, so good. I think we have
Okay.
this city is so crazy. I've never been in a city when you change altitude so fast, and and it's crazy how they live with that. You know, in every day by day. So
Yeah.
yesterday we went to a market, local market in El Alto, which is a town located in
Yeah.
4,000 meters above sea level.
Yeah. It's on the
And then
plateau, so it's
suddenly you change
on the
from
plateau. So
2,000
it's
to
like yeah,
4,000
4,000
in
meters
just
above sea
30
level.
minutes, and then your body feels it, and then everything
Yeah.
starts functioning
Yeah.
slower and slower. So we had to take care of that. But no, it's doing great. Last year I had to travel a lot, and then I went to Quito and Bogota and Cusco. So uh, I would say it's harder, but it's not that different from those places.
Yeah, yeah, you know what to expect at
And
least a little bit.
I don't drink too much alcohol, so that helps a
With the
lot.
altitude. Tea? Are you
I'm
drinking
drinking a
tea?
lot of
Like
I'm
I
drinking and
think
I'm
tea is like a
discovering a
great.
lot of the herbs or medicinal herbs, roots also.
Yeah.
So this type of trips is not only good for me
Hmm.
for human relationship purposes or collaboration purposes, but
Hmm.
also I take a lot of ideas to bring back to my restaurant, especially when I come here to Bolivia, or last year when I went to Valle Sagrado, Sacred Valley in Cusco. Those two places, they have strong herbs and roots and seeds infusions culture. So that opens my
Hmm.
mind a lot with the possibility of doing not only a tea pairing in my restaurant, but also doing an infusion, a local ingredients infusion pairing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting. I never even thought about that. Like, first of all, like your restaurant, when I first heard about it, I was like, this is either going to be a disaster or or it's going to be totally
You,
awesome.
you, you
And I
weren't the
went
first
and
one. I
it's
was the
totally
first one to
awesome.
think that.
And like, yeah, okay. Like, I was like, man, this is a big risk. Like, are Chileans going to get it? You know, Chileans are sometimes a little picky, I think, at not to generalize, but I think not always as open to new ideas. But yeah, it like it works so unbelievably well, and I think why I think it works is because Chile has this incredible tea culture already. You know, like it's like tea consumption in Chile is it's among the highest in the world, right? Like
It's
at least
it's
top 10.
around ninth or eighth place.
Yeah, so it's like higher than Japan and China and all of these places where you would assume, tea is stronger. But yeah, Chile, it's why do
Well, it's
Chileans drink so much tea?
it's kind of like a luck story because they used to drink mate in the old days, just like Argentinians and
Right.
Uruguayans. But the government, by ignorance, and probably it's one of the best things that has happened to us, they forbid the mate. They thought it was kind of like a drug or something, and they forbid it.
Oh, okay.
And this was just in the time that when British sailors they arrived to the ports of Chile, and they brought tea with them. They did
Okay.
that with in all the countries. Just it's just like the with the strong mate culture, the tea didn't have a place there. But we didn't have mate anymore here, so tea
Hmm.
entered like perfect. The people just started to drink it.
Okay.
They saw it like a perfect replacement for mate. Also in terms of economics because it was also really cheap. And then it just stayed here. And then later with the German immigration after the Second World War, um, they brought
Hmm.
the concept of I don't know if you know it, but the once it's our dinner where you gather together and you
Yeah.
share a huge basket of bread, different type of breads and things for the bread, charcuterie, cheeses,
Hmm.
jams, avocado, something like that. And then they found tea here present in the culture, so it was a perfect match. And then tea stayed. The people saw in tea like a perfect beverage for every meal in the day, especially in the our once. It's our local dinner.
So once is it's just kind of like the southern half of Chile, right? Like in the north you
It
wouldn't find
depends.
it,
In more
do
traditional
you?
places, it's hard to find it, but
Okay.
in common families, they I don't know any Chilean that hasn't had once at least once in their lives. But it's very common. It's very
Right.
common.
Yeah. Okay. No, I
That is
remember
also
it
the
just
reason why
like
we are one of the highest bread
the most
consumers in the world. Also, yes, yes.
because of the ounces. Okay, okay. Interesting. No, like my experience with it usually has been traveling like in the Lakes District or Patagonia and in the afternoon and like being at a hotel and they put out this beautiful spread at like four
I would say
o'clock or
it's too
something. Is
early.
there a time for it exactly?
They start at,
Okay. So
when
maybe
you're a
five,
kid. They give it
six,
to you
something
at
like that.
5, maybe or 6 at the latest. But normally, as a
Okay.
family, you do it at between 7 and 9 p.m. You used to do it when you were watching
Oh, okay.
the
Okay.
TV drama together with the family. It was a replacement for the
Okay.
dinner.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because well,
Cool.
there's a lot of stories. Yes, like 11 in Spanish. Once there are a lot of stories. No one, none of them are confirmed, but the most popular one is that the workers, the sailors, the miners, all the hard labor workers back in the day, they didn't want to drink tea, so they used that chance to drink some. Forgot the name in English. The aguardiente. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
they
like
mixed
a
that with the
firewater or
tea.
whatever. Yeah.
So in kind of like a code way, they used to do. Hey, we're gonna drink the 11 letras, the 11 letters, which is aguardiente.
Ah, okay.
That's one of the many stories that we have
That's cool. I didn't
about
know
the
that.
creation of once, but that's the
Right.
most popular one, and I think it's the one that people like to tell all the peoples outside of Chile. Sorry. Exactly. Exactly. We're gonna in Spanish we say in Spanish we say vamos a tomar once, which is kind of like a let's take the once. Yeah, yeah. We do it always in the afternoon.
So would it be safe to categorize YumCha as an onse
Um,
restaurant?
I usually say it in the general description to clients, but it's definitely more
Okay.
something more elaborated. But the inspiration it came for something
Yeah,
like
of
that.
course.
When I was in China doing this revolutionary trip for me, um, I started the trip just discovering the Chinese gastronomy. It was something that I was very curious about all the time. Every cook or most of the cooks they tend to dream with visiting Japan and discovering all the Japanese gastronomic culture. But I was very
Hmm.
attracted always by the Chinese chaos, the disorder, the use of the wok, the spices, everything. So when I did this trip to start discovering or doing the accomplishing this dream, um, I started doing this trip with only gastronomic purpose, only cuisine purposes, and then I discovered in one market a tea stand, a very interesting tea stand, which got my attention immediately. Uh, because imagine
Why?
yourself you're going
Why?
to
What
a
was it
Latin
like?
American market, the same structure, and then you see a stand, a big stand,
Hmm.
full with teas, different type of teas, infusions, all the materials in raw materials, dry materials. And for me, tea at that point was only
Hmm.
bad quality black tea. Being born here in Chile and having
Yeah.
the tea with as we drink it
Hmm.
here in Chile my whole life. Then I moved to Mexico. I grew up in Mexico, which you have no tea at all there, but you have a strong herbs and infusions culture over there. And then I lived twice in Turkey, where they have a similar tea culture that Chileans. They drink a lot of tea the whole day, and then but we only drink this bad quality
Yeah.
Indian black tea. For me, tea was just that at that point. And when I saw that tea stand in the
Yeah.
market, I said, "Wow, this is something so deep and and different, that I didn't have this variation of this product in my mind. And it got my attention and started drinking tea. In that moment, I was doing that market tour with a Chinese local guy, and I told her, please translate for me to that guy if he can sell me two different type of teas. And he told me traditional Sichuanese green tea, and then Chinese pu'er, which is a fermented tea. And those were two type of teas that I never tasted before. When I prepared myself those teas back in the
Hmm.
Airbnb in China, and I tasted them. I said, "Wow, this goes from point A to Z, and something that I never tasted before." And I want to so I want to
Hmm.
discover this, how deep it is, how varied it could be. And I started doing this trip one side with discovering flavors, products, and ingredients in China, and at the same time was in every stop that I was doing, I was visiting the local tea stand and buying and trying, discovering new type of teas. And at the end of the trip in Canton province in Guangzhou, I discovered this beautiful tradition of YumCha or YamCha as they call it, which consists basically in gathering together with friends, with colleagues or family to share a meal with tea all the time. So when we got this YumCha experience the first time, um, I had this aha moment when basically my restaurant started. That was the seed moment on 2 points. The
Yeah.
first one was that because my formation as a cook is I have been working most of the time in restaurants with tasting menu with 50 best or Michelin star standards. Because I the first time I tasted a tasting menu for me was a revelation. I said, okay, this is if you do it okay, if you care about all the details, this is the best artistic expression that you can have as a cook, and also you can transmit or transfer a lot of sensation and emotions to the clients in every dish. So I said, okay, I'm gonna
Hmm.
develop myself in this type of cuisine. And when we did this jump chat the first time, we did it with a huge group of friends. So we ordered a lot of food in the center of the table to share, and it felt like an informal tasting menu because we were eating a lot of small amounts of different
Hmm.
10, 12, 14 different type of dishes.
Yeah.
And with tea it worked out really nice because tea helps you a lot with the digestion. It helps you a lot um, with the amount of food that you're ingesting at that time, and it doesn't make you feel tired. Or for example, when you do that tasting menu with a wine pairing, wine it's amazing, but at the end of the meal
Hmm.
it's just another stone over you, you know. So that was the first point, the first aha
Yeah.
moment there. And then the second one, I related it immediately to the once, to our local once. And I say, oh, this is just like once, but with different flavors, textures, products. But the concept is the same. You know, we're sharing food, a lot of food, in a family
Hmm.
style meal, and with tea. So I said, okay, maybe if I think in a concept where I put all my formation, all my taste, my fine dining information, all the things that I have discovered in this trip so far, and I do it in a country where tea is not a weird animal. It's not weird to
Hmm.
present or tell a Chilean you're gonna have a dinner with tea. So that's those were the two aha
Yeah.
moments that uh, drove me to think that it could be a good idea to do it in Chile.
What were you doing like, how old were you, and what were you? Where else?
At
Where
that
were you
time,
cooking at the time
I have finished.
when you took this trip?
I was leading a gastronomic club. It was called Milésime. They have their central restaurant in Mexico City, and they opened
Oh
for
yeah.
two
Yeah.
or 3 years in Chile, and I was leading the fine
Right.
dining restaurant. So when we finished there, um, I had a lot of time, a lot of money and energy. So I said, okay, this is the perfect time to do this trip I always wanted
Yeah.
to do. And I went to China just in a blank page. I didn't have any detailed plan. I
Okay.
didn't have any contacts. I didn't have knowledge in Mandarin. Nothing. Just I organized my trip between what I thought, and I think I'm right now. But at that time, what I thought they were the two biggest Chinese regional cuisines, which is Sichuan and Canton cuisine. So
Mhm.
I did this trip from. I started in Chengdu, in the capital of Sichuan, and then I finished it in Guangzhou, Canton, and Hong Kong as well.
And you just got back from a trip to
Yes,
Asia,
yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Like a few months ago.
The YumCha is
Okay.
creatively feeding of all these trips as well, and that's something I always tell our clients. When
Hmm.
they arrive, especially when Asians arrive to my restaurant, they think they're gonna find something very traditional, and they think they're gonna find a Chinese back in
Yeah.
the kitchen, moving the wok and everything. And then I present myself, and they are kind of like a
Yeah.
surprise. They say, "Oh, why tea? Why
Yeah.
Chinese cuisine? Why you?" And I tell them this is a
Yeah.
restaurant. This restaurant is just the sum of or the representation of a trip to Asia and what we saw there, what got into our mind, and then we just put it in a restaurant in a menu. So in January, I went to Japan. It was my first time in Japan, and it was weird because at first I was thinking, okay, this is my first time going to Japan. I want to do and see what I can as much as possible, as much as possible. Uh, but then I
Yeah.
started thinking, okay, no, this trip is so special. It's the first time I'm going to this culture. I want to take back as many ideas as
Yeah.
possible. So I organized myself. The trip I organized it, and I was 1 month, entire 1 month in just Tokyo. I didn't go out from Tokyo. So everyone that knew I was going to Japan and knew about this trip, they were telling me, "You're crazy. You're wasting your chance to visit Kyoto and all the nature and
Yeah.
Sapporo and all these amazing places." And I said, "No, but I think in Tokyo it's everything condensed, and if you want to bring ideas." Then it's the fastest way possible to visit different places, different type of businesses, and that's why my I did it just because of that. And I was just 1 month in Tokyo. uh, I was waking up every day, um, going to one place for lunch, going to one place for dinner, and in the mid time, I walked a lot. I walked from the place that I have
Hmm.
lunch to the place I will have dinner. Um, I use the marvelous help of ChatGPT. So I told ChatGPT, please arrange me a route between this point and this point and show me as much spatial places as possible. And I discovered a lot of amazing places
Okay.
just walking in Tokyo, thanks to this new thing.
Oh man. Yeah, I did. So I was there a couple years ago, but just for a week. I only was in Tokyo as well. In like, man, yeah,
It's a
it
very
was
intense
just so
city.
much there in
It's
terms of like
crazy, but at the same time,
it
it's
is.
I was with sometimes I try to be alone all the time. I enjoy a lot being myself alone in these kind of trips. But for example, I had the chance
Mhm.
to join Virgilio Martinez in that trip. We got together for 1 day, and then he introduced me to his chef there in Mas in Santiago.
Mhm. Santiago.
Me for 2 days to do some extra things, and he started to tell me how hard was the work culture in Japan, because you see it from the outside and then you see an amazing place, but hearing it from one that it's working there and has been working there for a couple of years, and then you realize that if you go there, it's a big challenge, but you lose your whole social life. You don't have any more social life in Tokyo. So it's a place basically made designed for people that love to work, which I find it really cool. But also it's a place designed for introvert people. If you like to talk with people, if you want to feel noise, uh, to see movement, to all the things that we are used to in Latin America, you're gonna have a really bad time, you know.
Yeah, yeah. What I found refreshing is how many like amazing, small, extremely focused bars and restaurants there were. Like places with like 6 seats, sometimes 4 seats. And it's like, but you could go into this this basement, this dingy fucking basement, and inside was this nice room, and you would find only a
Hmm.
specific type of wine from the Jura in France. Or you go to like like a certain ramen bar, and again, it's just like 4 seats in the middle of nowhere or whatever, and it's just these tiny places, but they work, you know, and it's like they're putting out amazing food, people completely dedicated to their craft, and somehow they earn an income from it, and they're able to earn a living from it, and there's like a balance in that that I don't really see in a lot of other places. Like able to earn a good living from a fucking 4 seat restaurant somehow. Like I don't know how it works because in New York it's like it's basically impossible now. It's like the city doesn't really work for most people. You know, especially people running restaurants. It's like it's so hard. But there it seemed like you could just take a space. The rent wasn't that high, and make it work. Make a 4 or 6 seat restaurant work, and it's like I'm still amazed by that, and I
I
would
think it's
love
a
to know
culture
more. I
difference
need to have
between
someone in
them
the.
and us Westerns. I put myself in Latin Americans and all
Mhm.
the Western countries. Um, and you have 2 points there. The first one is the craftsman, the entrepreneur, as you can as you wish, as you might call it. Um, when they start
Mhm.
doing something, they project themselves in the long term. You know, so they don't start anything
Yeah.
or they don't do anything with a short term project. And also the clients, if Western countries clients or guests are year by year, they're going more people is going into this uh, fast content consumption. So they go to a restaurant, they
Mhm.
find it cool or they don't like it. It doesn't matter. But after two or three visits, that's it. You know, give me something new. I don't like this anymore because
Yeah.
it's even if it has an amazing quality or something interesting. I already tasted it, already lived it, so I want to try something new. And the client in Japan is something completely different. They really like tradition and perfection. You know, and they if you go as a Japanese client, you go to one place, new place, and you try it and you like it, then your second visit is to see how they perform better. You know, they improve.
Yeah. 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 So we I think we get a lot of things wrong in the West.
Well, they
Like
have
we
a lot
make
of
things so hard on
bad things
ourselves
also.
and
It's not the
just
perfect place.
overcomplicate.
Not the perfect place.
Yeah, of course, of course, no place is perfect,
For
but
us,
it's like,
it was also like a revelation
yeah.
trip for new ideas, new getting to know new techniques, products, all the things related to kitchen. But more important, at least for
Hmm.
our restaurant, was a confirmation to we have hard working in these last 3 years of developing a small restaurant where you can use this small restaurant advantage to focus on all the details related to our product, and especially related to our service. When you work in a small restaurant, you can have a different type of relationship with the client, and then every client becomes your they enter to the restaurant as a normal client, and they go out as a something else. I'm not going to say as a friend, but something else definitely.
Hmm.
um, and going to Japan, going to Tokyo, and going in Tokyo, visiting so many different places, different concepts, but with all of them with this structure of small restaurant. For us, was a confirmation. It was like, okay, we were doing this in a country, doing this in a city where the standard of a new business or new gastronomic business is always big, always loud, the volume. Um, for us, it was like just
Hmm.
gasoline. They say, okay, let's keep doing it like this until we die or until the restaurant dies. This is something special, and it works. It
Yeah.
works thousands of kilometers away from us, but let's keep doing it so people can understand it and evaluate and enjoy it as well.
So YumCha has
We
how many, like
currently we
20
have
seats,
10
something like that?
tables. We have two of those 10 tables. They are big
Okay.
tables, so we can put there until 6 people, and then if we get a combination with big tables, we can
Okay.
do like maximum 28, 30 guests.
Okay. Yeah, that's small for
It's
Santiago.
huge
I
for
mean,
Japan. It's small for
I think,
Santiago.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you found the middle ground,
No, we did it
I
at first. We,
guess.
we, we were 1 year and a half doing it with
But
just 12 seats, and that's I think it's that was when you went there.
okay. Okay. We lost Julie, but I think her connection was bad or something. She kept, but she'll come back, I think. Um, so anyway, so the when you say you're getting techniques and things, so the menu at YumCha, I'm trying to remember when I was there. It's it's not like specifically Chinese, right? I mean,
No, it
I mean,
has
it's from a little
our
bit of
menu, and
everywhere.
especially our cuisine now, my cuisine, which I have been developing for maybe 10 years, and I didn't know where I was going. But then
Hmm.
I saw everything backwards, and I understood all my formation and my path.
Yeah.
Um, in YumCha specifically, it has two origins. The first one is, of course, the tea. So when we decided to create a place where tea was
Hmm.
playing a huge role, basically a fundamental role, um, and we decided to do the when we decided to approach tea as sommeliers do it with wine professionally, a professionally approach. We said, okay, the most logical thing to do is to use Asian flavors, products, and techniques because they have been
Yeah.
together with tea for centuries. Tea is the most Asian beverage in the world, so
Hmm.
it's a perfect and natural pairing between each other. And then we decided to use an Asian inspiration. We
Hmm.
said, okay, we're gonna land it here in Chile and see how can we adapt it first to the local palate, because if, for example, I want to try or taste a traditional Sichuanese dish, it would be impossible to do it here for the
Hmm.
level of spice.
Yeah. And there's no reference in Chile or right of Chinese cooking at all,
No,
right?
but
I
we
mean, it's not
have
like
like
Peru with the chiffas. There's not
the
really
same the
a.
same Chinese,
I'm sure there's a
Latin
few,
Chinese
but
cuisine that you can find everywhere.
okay,
um,
all right,
but no, a traditional Chinese cuisine, they have no reference at all. Um,
okay.
so that was the first origin because of the tea, and the second one, I didn't realize about that until maybe 4 years ago when I started in pandemic. For example, I started to analyze my whole career and say, what's the best thing that I've learned in all the countries and kitchens and places that I have been traveling and worked at. Um, and it's the sauces. The sauces. I define my cuisine as technically as a sauce cuisine because I was born in Mexico, so I grew up with a very strong sauce
Okay.
cuisine. And then in China, when I arrived to China, for me everything was so different at first. But then when I passed this shock, this culture shock at first, and I started to get to know all the culture and the dishes and the gastronomic scene, I started to realize that it was very similar to Mexican cuisine in the base of using sauces, spices. When you present a dish in a Mexican cuisine or Chinese cuisine, the first thing that you see and realize when you see the dish is you say, "Wow, there's a lot of things going on here." There's a lot of colors, a lot of products. It doesn't seem like it will work, and then you taste it, and in your mouth, it's all perfectly balanced. You know, like you feel the 28 ingredients that they tell you that the
Yeah.
dish was containing, but everything works. So I started to get these similarities between these two um, Asian traditional cuisines, and I say, okay, yeah, sauces has been with me my whole life. So for me, it's I didn't realize it, but it's the main, it's the soul of my cuisine. Every time I create a dish, the first thing I create is the sauce, and when the sauce is finished, just like I. For me, it's when I taste the sauce. A sauce is finished when I taste it, and I say, "Okay, tomorrow I can bottle this and I can sell it in the supermarket, and people will buy it." You know, it's addictive. And then I start creating the
Hmm.
rest of the dish. The if it's better with fish, vegetables, shellfish, or the temperature, if it's cold, warm, or room temperature dish,
Hmm.
textures, and everything else.
But everything's from Chile, right? Like all the
Most of
everything,
them,
all the
we
ingredients,
we
or
we source
most.
our ingredients
Hmm.
from local suppliers. All the seafood products are from Chile, definitely. Vegetables are all from
Hmm.
Chile there,
Yeah.
but it something very funny occurs there because when I came back from China, I saw so many different things there that I say, okay, these things like fresh tofu and Chinese vegetables, I won't find them in Chile,
Hmm.
so I had to look for a replacement. And then when I came back, it's been already 5 years or 6 years. Um, I started to discover the Chinatown, local Chinatown. I still do it in
Hmm.
Santiago. Yeah,
In
but it's more
Santiago,
residential and
there's
commercial
Chinatown.
than
Where
touristic
at?
Chinatown, and for example, as in the states.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I started discovering a very old and big community, Chinese community. They have been living here for years. They have second and third generation kids, uh, and it's a very commercial community. So they work a lot. They don't care about
Hmm.
the tourist. They're located in a very rough neighborhood, but they have a lot of basic demands that have been supplying them with, for example, creating the offer. So if you go outside of Santiago, like in the maybe 20, 30 minutes away from Santiago, you will find some suburb zones where you can find local Chinese gardens, and they
Okay.
they create there, for example, all the variety of Chinese vegetables that you find in China, and then they supply them in the local Chinese supermarkets in this Chinatown. So you can find everything. And now, so vegetables, yeah, they are all harvested here in Chile, but some of them, I would say, maybe
Hmm.
40% comes from these Chinese farms in the suburbs. And then, of course, the staples. Yeah, we use a lot of all the Asian staple. They imported soy sauce, rice vinegar, all those kind of ingredients. We have made some tests in these 3 years to create our own, for example,
Yeah.
soy sauce, but instead, for example, of using soybeans, we use the granado beans. I don't know if you know
Hmm.
them, but the granado beans is the beans that grows in summer, and we use them to with this dish with corn and basil. You know, the porotos con mazamorra. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, a white
yeah.
and
It's like
fresh
a
bean.
white bean, right? Like a kind of big. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, but those tests didn't turn out yet,
No, we did
or
it.
you're still like
It
working
was
on
really
it
good,
to.
something different, but really nice.
Okay.
But now it's something that takes a lot of time. It took us like almost a year to do it,
Yeah.
and now we have to next summer we have to develop a logistic to do more in a big quantity so we can use it the whole year. So that's a huge challenge. Than more
Yeah.
than doing the test
Okay.
and using it for the
Yeah.
whole restaurant the whole
Yeah.
year. That's a very
Yeah.
tough challenge.
So you mentioned balance and a little bit ago, and so the pairing, it can be tea, it can be wine, it can be
We have
tea
different.
mixed with
Sorry,
wine.
sorry.
Why did you? Hmm.
No.
I'm sorry. Go
Just
ahead.
what we have
What you
different
were going to say,
options.
and
We
what's the other
started the
option?
restaurant with just a tea pairing. We
Okay.
wanted romantically create the first restaurant, the tea restaurant without any other
Hmm.
type of beverage. But the idea just standed for 3 months, and
Yeah.
then we had to put
Yeah.
to put some alcohol there. And at first, we wanted to use a type of alcohol that goes well with the concept that we create that goes well with tea and Asian flavors. So we
Mm-hmm.
thought immediately in sake, Japanese sake. But at first, it was a tough challenge because
Hmm.
we didn't have good suppliers or variety of good quality sakes. So
Yeah.
we decided to do
Right.
an intervention, and with wines, with local wines, we started to
Hmm.
discover the wine that we needed for the restaurant, not the wine that Chilean industry wanted to you to promote.
Yeah.
Luckily, I met Giselle, which is our currently is our maitre and sommelier. And I say that because it's just to so people understand the position, but we don't have maitre and we don't have sommelier in the restaurant. She came with no formation at all,
Yeah.
and then we grew up together in this discovering what kind of beverage we wanted for the restaurant and what kind, especially and more important, what kind of service we wanted to for the restaurant. And then 1 year ago, a Japanese supplier for normal staples, he approached me and he told me, I'm willing to make the effort and the risk to start importing good quality sakes. I just want you to help me to spread the word
Hmm.
and put this information in every Asian or every Asian restaurant that could be interested in using this product.
Hmm.
Um, and he has been already 1 year, and every 3 months that has the importation coming from Japan, he always improves the stock, the variety of sakes. When I went to Tokyo, I joined the the link, the person that works as a link with them and the producers, and he took me to a local sake bar in Tokyo. He made me, or like he gave me like a 3 hours catering of different type of sakes, and he told me at the end, okay, now you choose which
Hmm.
one are the next going to Chile. So now we have a very interesting
Hmm.
option for
Okay.
people. I always say that if you go to YumCha and don't drink, you can have a good time. It doesn't matter if you drink alcohol or you don't drink
Yeah.
alcohol. So we have a tea pairing, we have a full wine
Hmm.
pairing. We work only with local wines, Chilean wines, and we use wines from small producers or special editions from big producers as well. And then we have two mixed pairings, which are the most popular ones. We have one tea and wine pairing,
Hmm.
and one tea and sake pairing as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Now, when I was there, I think I had the mixed wine and tea, and it was great. Like I loved it. Like I thought it was, and I
It's
think he
like a
gave me
roller
extra
coaster.
teas
It's. I always
too.
recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, no, it was great. Like I enjoyed it a lot. I never had a food and tea pairing other than like onse or something like that. In a tasting menu, but I think it makes so much sense. And there is this balance. You like it does help you digest and feel good. And even when I do a tasting menu and I don't get the one, and I go opt for like the non-alcoholic pairing,
Yeah.
usually it's very heavy too. It's like juices or something, and then it just adds a lot of sugar. So it's like you're still. I'd almost
Or it's
always
heavy in
rather have the
or it's
alcohol
heavy in
in that sense
fermentation
than a
because
juice
normally they
pairing.
use a lot of fermented beverage,
Yeah,
and
yeah, having
at the
fermentation.
moment
So
you don't feel it heavy.
yeah,
Like 1 month ago, I did a non-alcoholic pairing in an amazing restaurant in Guatemala that I discovered recently. I didn't know that existed. It's called Quiltro
which one?
in Antigua. It's from a Chilean,
Okay,
and
I don't know.
he worked
Okay,
in different good places, especially in Noma. So he has been developing a tasting menu based on Guatemalan vegetables and fruits. So he uses vegetables
okay.
and fruits as protagonists, and he used proteins as well, but as a second participant. And it was
Hmm.
amazing experience. It's one of the best menus that I've eaten in the year. And he offered us non-alcoholic pairing based only in meat. This kind of like meat, yeah.
Oh, meat.
Uh, and it
Okay,
was amazing.
okay, yeah, okay,
Every meat was from a different Guatemalan fruit. And at the end, I told him,
yeah,
"Oh, this is very interesting, a good option." But then when I arrived to the hotel at night, I couldn't sleep, man. All the gases they started coming out,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah, okay.
that's something that happens when you go for a non-alcoholic pairing based on
Yeah, no.
fermentation products, or on the other side, if you
Hmm.
do it with juices or mocktails, it's always charged to the sugar, to the acidity, the lemon juice,
Yeah,
and tea gives you this
right.
option of feeling the
Yeah.
same sensation of wine, but without the alcohol. But the same tea behaves
Hmm.
similar to wine from the origin to the very end of the process. It's just one plant, but it depends on the terroir. It depends on the variety of the
Hmm.
plant, the cultivar. It has a lot of tannins as well. It's very similar to wine without going into details.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, but it's like I think Latin American food balance
Yeah,
and just like how your body feels after, it's so secondary most of the time. Like I wish Julie was still here because I remember I, like the worst I've ever felt was in Bogota like a few years ago, like in just eating, just lunch and dinner, for like 4 days or something. And like,
yeah.
I felt so terrible just because everything was so heavy, so much sugar and salt and
And
just
they fried a lot of
protein.
things. So
And,
um,
yeah, but I mean, these were like nice restaurants too. It wasn't even like fried street food or anything that's, like off the rails. It was just like,
yeah,
there was like
they,
no
they, they,
thought to
since
balance
they don't have
given
a strong wine
to the
culture in
meals.
Bogota
And
or in Colombia, there are some fine dining restaurant. They
mhm.
even offer you a cocktail pairing, which I find it completely crazy. Man. You end up in coma, man.
Yeah, that I mean that's yeah, I know. Like no, I like that happens a lot too where like, at restaurants they feed you so much alcohol, like in a pairing, which sometimes it's nice. Sometimes you don't want to think about anything and just get drunk and whatever, but when when you're going to a restaurant and there is this kind of communication of some idea you know, and just sense of place and all this stuff. I don't want to just get drunk and I don't remember anything. And like that's what ends up happening sometimes. And it's like too much alcohol. And it's just you feel like shit the next day. You ate too much and it's tough. But yeah, I liked your place because there is this sense of balance. Not even just with the tea.
I try to
but
encourage a lot
through
of
the food
colleagues
as well. And
to include tea in their menus, in their restaurants, not because of the variety of flavors. That's
yeah.
something that they have to discover at the end, but for this purpose, to help clients to end up more relaxed, more light, lighter way. Um, I haven't been
Hmm.
so successful until now, at least in Santiago, but it's happening in the continent. I always tell other people that
Hmm.
tea we have to see it in Latin American tea we have to see it as a continent, not as countries separated, because there are so many small efforts that if you
Yeah.
count them by country, it's nothing. But when you see
Yeah.
the big picture, and you see this guy in Peru, you see this guy in Brazil, you see this guy in Argentina, us in Chile, um, that's something that you can aggregate and say, okay, look, it's something is happening, not with the rhythm that we would like to, but
Hmm.
there's people doing things in different places.
Yeah. So you're opening
Yes,
a
yes,
second
that was a
restaurant.
seed
Is
that
it a
came with
restaurant or what is it?
The Tokyo
Okay.
trip, and it's
Yeah.
almost finished. We are just
Okay.
waiting for small construction details, and then applying to government regulations, which could be a pain in the ass here in Chile, but
Hmm.
it could be a pain in the ass because it has to be
Yeah.
made correctly.
but yeah, yeah.
It's a
So what kind of restaurant
small
is it?
tea shop, which is in Spanish you call it teteria, but I always present it as a tea shop and coffee shop as well, because we're going to be selling coffee as well, not only tea. I think that
Okay.
the public, the people in Santiago, is not ready yet for a full tea spot. They are huge, strong coffee consumer here. We are also, I think, we are also the highest coffee consumers
Hmm.
or one of the higher coffee consumers in Latin
Oh
America.
yeah.
Even if we don't have any coffee culture at all, we don't produce coffee, we don't nothing, but we consume coffee like animals, and every month it's a new coffee shop in Santiago. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think it's from the last 10 years. It's the biggest industry or gastronomic industry development in Santiago. The coffee culture. Uh,
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Like I just from walking around, every year or so,
yeah,
just seeing the number of
yeah,
new
and
cafes,
also
it's pretty
since
incredible.
Santiago is a very in Latin American terms is a very expensive city to live. There's a lot of the middle class. I
Hmm.
think it's happening also in the States, but a lot of the middle class are using the coffee shops now as the new restaurants. They can't afford to go to normal
Hmm.
restaurants so often, so they take the local coffee shop, and then they go there every week, every weekend, and they have their meal and their time over there.
Hmm. Okay. So the new restaurant that you're making,
It's
it'll
a
have
small
tea
tea
and
shop.
coffee,
It's
and will there
it's
be food as
20
well?
square meters basically.
Okay.
It's a small bar
Okay.
where you
All
can
right.
just order by yourself. I do auto service, and then you have a tea list with
Okay.
I will offer specialty teas from different parts of Asia, good quality teas. Also, I will work with the lattes. There, it's a trend now. But we will do it not only with matcha. We luckily
Hmm.
work with an amazing tea supplier. She's from Chile but lives in China, so he does all the resourcing over there. And she has a lot of different type of tea powders. So we work with not only matcha but also hojicha, genmaicha, and all different Chinese tea that comes in powder, and we can latte them with.
Hmm.
There's a huge matcha stock problem in the world. Everyone is using matcha. Matcha latte has
Oh yeah.
become probably the
Uh,
2025 trend in worldwide. um,
Yeah, like is that an issue? Like
It's an
I
issue for
didn't realize
Japanese
that, but it
for
makes sense
Japanese
that
because
so much matcha is
they
being sold now they
matcha
can't.
was originally conceived
Yeah.
for ceremonial purposes, um, and it's an expensive tea. But
Uh
then
huh.
someone invented the matcha latte, and someone started also using it for desserts, um, and the demand
Yeah.
exploded. And Japanese people they created the culinary version, the matcha, the culinary grade, um, but it's less quality. So now everything has to be visual.
Hmm.
Uh, People if they don't get the ultra green matcha, they don't sell it, they don't consume it. And with culinary
Yeah.
grade, you don't get that type of intense green. So in the last, I think 2 or 3 years,
Okay.
all the matcha uh, or the coffee shops that has been using matcha in their menus, they switched to the matcha ceremonial, and they ended the whole matcha ceremonial stock in
Okay.
Japan just because of the
Oh wow.
fucking color, and it's crazy.
Yeah, but at some point somebody's going
Colorants,
to
yeah,
start
maybe.
putting some kind of weird additive. Yeah, some
Yeah.
colorant in it. Just
But
like
yes, we're
grind up
doing
some
that.
tree frogs or
Specialty
something. Yeah.
teas, lattes, then good coffee as well, and then we're gonna serve a mix between a Japanese sando, and then in Chile we have a strong sandwich
Hmm.
culture as well. We have a lot of these kind of like local sandos that we have been doing for decades. I don't know if you have tried them,
Hmm.
but for example, ave palta, which is the avocado and, and,
Yeah, yeah.
and
No,
chicken.
like I'm a
So we're gonna make
huge fan of Chilean sandwiches.
a
Yeah.
mixed point between those two, the sanduche de miga, which is a local sando, and the
Okay.
Japanese sando, and
Uh
also
huh. Yeah.
we're gonna serve fresh onigiris. That's something that blew my mind in Japan. I went to the two
Okay.
places that they were serving freshly made onigiris, and it's completely different of what you can find in the combi store, or they pre-make it and then they storage it, and
Hmm.
it's not the same. I mean, food in a combi store was something that really surprised me because it's crazy good. But when you
Yeah.
try an onigiri freshly made, it's something that stays in your mind. They pick the rice from the rice cooker. It's still warm. You fill it
Hmm.
with whatever you want, and you make it bigger, and you wrap it with more nori, so since it's bigger and it will fall apart easier, you use more nori to stay attached. But eating onigiri, freshly made onigiri, warm with more filling, um, it's something that it stayed in my mind, and I say, okay, this is the perfect snack. If you're just passing by,
Hmm.
grab a good cup of tea or coffee, eat this,
Yeah.
and then you keep your your day. You continue your day. But the concept and
It,
I would say the rhythm of the client that I expect is similar to Felix Cafe. I think you went to Felix Cafe.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's great. Consuelo's place. Yeah.
it's in
Okay. Cool.
Providencia. Yeah.
Is it in
Yeah, I'm trying to
Providencia?
design
Or
all the things in
okay. All right.
in
Cool.
Providencia so I can have a good quality of life also.
Yeah. 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 I don't blame you. Like getting around the city is a pain in the ass sometimes. All right. So, what are your plans in Bolivia for the rest of the week?
um, well, basically, we cook on Friday, so we are. I brought. I had to do only 3 dishes for this collaboration, and I brought almost everything done. But then yesterday, when we went to the market with Valentina, um, I saw a lot of interesting things, and
Hmm.
I asked Valentina to create 2 more dishes here from scratch, and she of course told me, "Yeah, of course, do it. It would be
Yeah.
amazing." Uh, so we now have a lot of extra production that it wasn't planned, but I like it. I always enjoy when I go out and I have the time, of course, and I also have the freedom of the person that it's inviting you. Nowadays, it's crazy
Hmm.
when you go out for an invitation. They make you agendas like military agendas. They don't give you free time. They say, okay,
Oh
at
yeah.
9 p.m. you go there, and then lunch you have go
Yeah.
there, and then go to rest, and then here, and then
Yeah.
it's very tiring. But Valentina, she told me, do whatever you want, and
Yeah.
then we just have dinner in one
Yeah.
place, and
Yeah.
that's it.
No, that's cool. It's like that's what it should be like. Yeah, when it becomes so formalized, it's like you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to get much out of that, you know? Like so yeah, the freedom is
It's
important.
important
That's
to
part of it.
enjoy the experience and to enjoy the place you're visiting, because otherwise it's just yeah, yeah.
Yeah, why the hell do it, you know? It's like all right, man. Do you think you'll start using more Latin American like infusion type things on the in like on the as a pairing or something? Because you
It's
mentioned
something
that,
that
and I've
it's
been
in
thinking
in
about
my
it throughout this
mind
interview, and like
since
that
basically a year ago. uh, I
yeah.
went to I went to Sacred Valley, um, and
Hmm.
I talked there with Virgilio because I went to meal and he invited me to meal, and
Uh-huh.
I we were talking about how we can start collaborating together or do something special. We were talking, both of us. We were talking like
Yeah.
how empty were the collaboration nowadays, that you just or not even you, someone else
Yeah.
picks who's gonna be invited by you. And you don't know the people that you're inviting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know their cuisine. You don't know everything. You just want to collaborate with that people. So we were talking about
Yeah.
that, and we were talking like how
Yeah.
we could make a deep and special collaboration, something like that. Uh, and we thought in Mil, not in Lima. We thought doing something in Mil, which is a very special place.
Hmm.
Um, and my first approach, I told him, yeah, I could do a lot of things cuisine related, but I would say something more special or more different. It would be like if I use all this knowledge that the people here have about local herbs, infusions, roots, um, and
Hmm.
we create, for example, uh, an sacred valley or Indian local pairing, non-alcoholic pairing.
Tea.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was the first time when I started thinking in infusion pairings,
Hmm.
and then I started thinking, yeah, but this variety that you
Yeah.
can find in the Sacred Valley, if you do a deep investigation in Chile, just for example, like the one that Rodolfo has made for a lot of years, you could create a very
Hmm.
interesting endemic or local herbs and roots seeds pairing in Chile.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like all these like plants in the Atacama and like places like that or Patagonia, there could be
Yeah,
there's some
yeah,
incredible
and not
things in
only
Chile.
herbs, when and in
Hmm.
meal also I tasted an infusion made with the hairs
Yeah.
of the corn. And then you see, okay, if this kind of
Uh-huh.
product
Yeah.
you know how to treat it, you can get a lot of flavors from something that you didn't expect from it.
Yeah. Super cool, man. Like I'm excited to see where you take
Yeah, I
this
don't know it,
this
but
project in the coming
we
years
will be
because it's like
discovering it
I love
together.
so much. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's the right way. I mean, you come in with this kind of idea, but you have to let it, take you somewhere. And I think that's the fun part of watching it and, and eating there. And it's like just seeing where else it can go and,
Yeah,
where all
that's
these
something that
ideas
it's.
are
I
going
think it's for
to.
a cook, for a chef, for an entrepreneur in a restaurant. That's something fundamental nowadays. If you have an idea, uh,
Yeah.
you have to just start it, Don't think in the long term perfect projection. Don't expect to cross the Fifth
Hmm.
Avenue with the 20 lights in green. It would be impossible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then be in the way. You have to be open to all the different opportunities that you will find in the path, because you don't know if you take something just by the guts, it will take you to a place that you never imagined you were going to be there. So we have had that approach since we started YumCha. We're now in a position that probably we never thought we were going to be, especially in 3 years. Maybe I was imagining something like that, but in maybe 8 or 9 years.
Hmm.
Um, so whenever we create something new in the restaurant, and specifically this, for example, local infusion pairing idea, we are more relaxed now. We just say, okay, let's do it, let's start, and then in the way we will see if it has a deepness, if it has substance,
Hmm.
um, and something extra will appear that will take this idea to a new level also.
Hmm. All right, man. Thanks for chatting.
No, thank you.